So we are back with another 90 Day Fiancé before the 90 days season. This is now season 8 and we have all new couples going into the lion's den that is TLC. So far, I'm 3 episodes in, but we haven't met all of our couples just yet. Jovan and Annalyn, and then also Elise and Joshua haven't hit the scene yet, but we're going to be talking about all the others in this video. First up is Forrest and Sheena. They do have a little bit of an age gap. Sheena's about 8 years older, but what I found really interesting was that they have been dating for 7 years and haven't seen each other yet in person. How they managed to pull that off without being able to physically see or touch the other person is crazy to me. I know I definitely couldn't do it. Now, to feel closer to each other, Forrest has a few different cameras set up all through his home for Sheena to be able to see him when he's in the house, which I personally think is a little much. I do kind of understand his reasoning a little bit. In case of emergencies and whatnot, he wouldn't be alone. I would have someone to call his mom because Forrest and his mom seem to have a pretty close relationship. So close that they even feel comfortable going to an adult store together to look for something for him and Sheena. Now, I personally would never, because that's strange to me. But moving on. We find out that his mom has some issues with Sheena, potentially not being entirely truthful about giving the money that Forrest would send to her to save to her parents. So the question here is she really giving it to her parents, or is she simply just spending it herself? And also, if she is giving it to her parents, what is it going towards? So his mom doesn't really trust her, but regardless, Forrest is heading to the Philippines and he's actually taking his mom and his stepdad with him. That in itself proves to be a task because this is the first time either of his parents have flown this far outside of the US. They do finally get there. There's just a lot of tears and waterworks because it's the first meeting in 7 years. But that's pretty much all we get to see for now. But I'm sure his mom is about to grill Sheena about this money issue in the next episode. Next we have Emma and Zead. Emma is clearly the lover girl who has definitely fantasized about relationships and marriage for a good chunk of her life, which makes it a little hard for her to fish out time wasters when it comes to guys. She lives with her twin sister Izzy, who is also pretty concerned about how quickly Emma tends to fall for someone, and Emma even admits that after a few shots of tequila, she's going home with you. Even as a joke, girl, that sounded crazy to actually say out loud. But anyway, she does live in LA, so it makes some sense as to why she started a relationship with a guy in Morocco, but this isn't the first Moroccan man that she's fallen for. Now, before even meeting this man, Zead, in person, she's already planning on getting engaged on her trip. The first guy apparently was talking to other girls, and she also said that she'd found out that Zead was talking to other women as well. But he apparently claimed that it was something old, but I don't know. I'd keep an eye on that one. Now, what really got me was Emma saying that she liked how open Zead was with her and how he seemed open to doing things when she got to Morocco, physically speaking. But when she packs everything up and flies over there, things really change. Obviously, because Morocco is a Muslim country, you aren't allowed to do certain things in public. And the PDA thing isn't really accepted. So on her flight over there, he messages her to tell her that he wouldn't be able to kiss her and hold her hand in public, and they also would be sleeping in the same room with each other when they get to the place that they were staying. Naturally, Emma is pretty confused because she asked him beforehand if he was going to be okay with them being physical, but I also do think that she should have been a little more direct and kind of clear as to what she meant by that. But I was not surprised in the slightest by how he acted when she got off that plane and she met up with this man in person. Because almost every Muslim man that has ever come on this show acts the exact same way. Extremely conservative and really awkward around women. Now obviously I'm not saying that in general for all Muslim men, but I've just noticed a pattern from the ones that come on this show, but once in a blue moon the guy might be a little different. But after settling into their riad, which is a traditional Moroccan house or palace by the way, they have dinner and things seem to be going a little better now that they have food in their system, but Emma is getting a little nervous about telling Zead about this previous Moroccan boyfriend she had right before him. Next we have Laura and Burkan. Now it took everything in me not to say Burkan like a Birkin bag just now. Just letting you know. But Laura had actually met Burkan on Snapchat while trying to look for Christmas filters for her pictures. They really hit it off, and she was interested in the whole bad boy aesthetic that he had going on. But the man is also 21 years her junior, and listening to her trying to explain the whole age gap thing away is hilarious because she says he doesn't sound like or come off like he was 26, and he's more matured. But I feel like that's literally what everyone always says in these situations until the person does or says something that proves otherwise. Regardless of all of that though, she has a best friend, Michael, who she's very close with, and they have a lot of similar interests like pickleball and whatnot. But for Burkan, he's a little uncomfortable with the closeness. And to be honest, I would be the same way because they spend a lot of time together. They hike together, go kayaking, talk all the time. It would just be a little too much. It sounds like a full-blown relationship, which is exactly what the people around them believe, that they're actually dating each other. So that's really not good. And what's making it even worse is that she plans to have him come with her to meet Burkan, but now that the trip date has been coming closer and closer, she's been rethinking it. Burkan had made mention to Laura a few times that he has a little bit of an issue with her hanging with Michael so much, and she also says that she's a little worried about that because she doesn't want to have a controlling partner who tells her who she can hang out with. But on the other hand, she also understands where he's coming from because she could see herself that her relationship with Michael is a little too close for someone that's supposed to just be a friend. Michael even starts crying when he realizes that they might have to stop hanging out with each other as much, and she had even given him a chance to say how he really feels about her. But because of his past issues and trauma, he seems afraid to just tell Lauren that he might actually like her as more than just a friend. But Laura, of course, can't just keep waiting around for him to admit that to himself, so she's still going to Turkey to see Burkan, but even Burkan's friends are a little worried about the age gap. Next, we have Rick and Trisha. They met each other on a dating site, and he was pretty smitten from the jump. However, Rick comes with a good bit of baggage. He's 52, 27 years Trisha's senior. He's also divorced and has 5 kids, with 2 of them being in the low single digits age-wise. But it's really been giving Trisha baby fever, and Rick is just like, yeah, I think I have enough for right now. Which, to be fair, he definitely does have his hands full, and on top of that, they haven't really seen each other in person yet. So their relationship is definitely not there yet. And it also doesn't help that he doesn't really trust her all that much after she had ghosted him for a few days a while before. But she had told him a few details as to why that happened, but she didn't really say too much. But regardless, Rick is going to be in some hot water because he acted pretty irrationally and just decided to do something that he knows good and well is going to be a major problem in their relationship moving forward. But either way, he jumps on a plane to Madagascar to go and see her. They even sleep together on the first night. The sparks were definitely flying, but then the following day, she finally comes all the way clean about what happened during the few days that she had stopped taking his calls. It turns out it was just a series of crazy events, like her ex-boyfriend getting robbed and then blaming it on her, then her brother hitting someone with his scooter, and them having to also pay for the injured person's hospital bills. It was just a lot, and she was afraid to talk to him or ask for anything because she didn't want to scare him off by asking for money, which seems understandable. But at the same time, Rick doesn't really make all that much money-wise. In the beginning, he said that he sold hair and also did tap dancing on the side, so how much that actually makes when he lives in LA, I don't really know. And then he also has 5 kids. So yeah, I don't know if he was going to be of much help anyway, you know? But now this man is just over here looking super guilty because during those few days Trisha wasn't talking to him. He decides to jump on a plane to Colombia to go see his ex, who he of course has intimate relations with every single day for the whole week that he was over there. But he claims it was because he believed that Trisha had cheated on him. But even if she did, it says more about your character that you could just do something like that as soon as y'all hit a little rough patch. It's more than just impulsive and erratic. It's also a little scary. Like you're just an untrustworthy person in a relationship. And I think he's right for being scared to come clean to Trisha because that's a major red flag. Next, we get to Lisa and Daniel. Now, Daniel is from Nigeria. He had reached out to Lisa on her social media. There's only a 13-year age gap between them on this one. But Lisa also has a daughter by the name of Faith that she is very, very close with. Close enough to feel the need to bring her to go buy condoms for the first time in decades. She had actually been married several times in the past, one of those marriages leading to her having her daughter Faith, but none of them worked out before realizing that she'd really just liked women, so that's who she exclusively dated for years after that. She also had a few marriages to some of the women she dated, but now that she's met Daniel, she's out here buying condoms again. But leading up to her trip to Nigeria at a dinner with her friend and Faith, Lisa gets in an argument about the money that she's been sending to Daniel here and there because she claimed he was just sick and had to skip work, so he needed the money. However, Lisa is in quite a lot of debt and has to actually borrow from her friend June to pay the bills, and according to Faith, it's been a pretty hard time for them financially for a while now. So I could definitely understand her frustration in this moment. But eventually Lisa just shuts down the conversation, but you can tell that Faith has had to deal with this side of her mom for quite some time. So this is probably about to get really interesting. Lastly, we have Aviva and Stig. Now, Stig is from Belize. They met each other after Aviva had posted a video of her time in Belize while visiting a family member, and he commented on the video. They've been talking for a few years now, but he is a music artist who has women pretty much throwing themselves at him. So there is some concern coming from her Aunt Spring that he is cheating on her, as she also lived in Belize and married a man from there as well. So she has a lot of eyes and ears that tell her things about Stig. When she relays this to Aviva, she doesn't really believe it. But her auntie is also dealing with her own cheating Belizean soon-to-be ex-husband, and she doesn't want to see the same thing happen to Aviva. Aviva believes that Stig has remained faithful to her this whole time and has shown her a level of maturity that she hasn't seen in her previous relationships. But she gives no examples of that, of course, so we just have to kind of take her word for it. But I do think she's a little delusional if she thinks this man, being at the status that he is as an artist in his country and being without her physically, that he hasn't tapped anything else. You know what I'm saying? Over in Belize, we see that Stig is talking to his friends about the whole relationship with Aviva, and it does sound like his next move is to come to the States. Aviva packs up and flies over to Belize, bringing him over some Chinese food that he had requested, and they definitely get to the business real quick. But I'm curious to see what's going to be uncovered while she's there, if there's anything to uncover, because it's really easy to hide things when you're in a long distance relationship and you're not there in person. But stay tuned, there will be a follow-up video coming soon on this one. You guys can let me know your thoughts on these first couple of episodes down in the comments. I'll catch you all in the next one.